slay error, go stronger.
Matthew's filling in for Jesse today, and we're talking about Freemasonry. Mr. Gallardo, who's a gentleman in France who's a convert to the Catholic faith, has got an interview format article in the National Catholic Register, and I thought this was fascinating. The question was, what made you think that you were serving Lucifer, as the title of one of your recent books suggests? He says, one day, when I was an officer in the lodge of the La Droite Humaine, I heard a first-grade ritual that I never heard before, and that pays tribute to Lucifer. It is always part of the ancient and accepted Scottish rite. I heard the venerable master say, we must thank Lucifer for bringing light to men. And he says, I was quite taken back. Matthew, were you aware in Freemasonry that the devil was being acknowledged for bringing light to an individual?
You know, Terry, again, this is one of those things where you have strange bedfellows.
Yes.
Not only within, well, all of these kind of alternative, and I won't hesitate to use the word occult, because it means secret or hidden.
Of course.
So you've got secret societies who hide these teachings. Mm-hmm. And why would they need to? You know, it's like, well, it's not terribly surprising that when you reach a certain point that the Mission Impossible mask comes off and you've got them praising Satan. And they don't use the word Satan. Satan is a Hebrew word that means enemy.
Right.
To them, you know, Satan's not the enemy. He's Lucifer. He's the light bearer.
Yeah, that's the name. Yep, they use.
Right.
Right.
And so you can see that there's a real disconnect from the Christian religion, and people who think that, you know, Masonry and even a Protestant Christianity are not going to be compatible, because there are, you know, things that are just absolute contradictions. You know, the praising of Satan being perhaps number one among them.
Yeah.
But you also see that in Western occultism, you know, and going back to medieval alchemy and the theosophy of the 18th and 19th century, where you have people that, and even all the way up to a modern socialist like, what's his name? The guy that wrote Rules for Radicals.
Oh, Alinsky.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, Alinsky. You know that book is in fact dedicated to Lucifer.
Yep, right.
You know, as being that Satan was the first of the radicals.
Yep.
You know, so you can see, they may not be officially connected, but you can see for lack of a better word, a certain Freemasonry amongst these disparate groups.
Yeah. Matthew, the last thing I want to talk about Freemasonry in this article is showing the proofs in France, for instance, that laws allowing the contraceptive pill back in 1967 was initiated by Freemasons. And additionally, the French law on abortion in 1975 was promoted by a Freemason. This is kind of like, wow, what's all? And this is really interesting. The first politician to have tried to introduce legalized euthanasia in France, guess what? Was a Freemason. And in 1978, that was happening. In the same way, the law on same-sex marriage, 2013, was promoted by a French politician, Christina Taubira, who is a Mason. See, he points this out in his book, that he's pointing out that the population in France of Freemasons is 0.03%, and yet 35% of France's deputies and senators, guess what, are Freemasons. I did not know that. It's 120 times more likely to become a deputy or a senator for a Freemason than for anyone else. What is that saying, Matthew? What's that tell you? Who's running the show?
Well, again, that was kind of the whole point of, you know, this creation, that we're going to create this secret society that's going to be this international network, you know, kind of like a giant good old boy club.
Yeah.
And they're going to look out for each other and open doors for each other, and in order to pursue this agenda of the new world order. Yeah. And so, I mean, that is as old as you can possibly imagine. The idea in the United States that Masonry opens doors. You go down to the City Hall in my own little hometown here in Orange County. You will see, here's the police department, here's the fire department, here's the community center, here's the library, here's the City Hall, and here's the Masonic Temple.
Yep, that's pretty standard. You got it right in Covina, where I'm at, right down the street.
pretty obvious connection right there. You
Yep,
know?
yep. No, you're right. Matt,
Also, there's one other thing that I think is really important to mention, though,
tell
Terry.
us. Tell us.
And that's, when people get involved in Freemasonry, they swear vows
They do.
and so forth. They take oaths. Some of them rather, grim, kind of gruesome oaths. And what happens? What do you do with that? You want to convert back to Catholicism? You want to become a Christian, and you've bound yourself by oath to all these things. And it's well for people to understand that you're not bound forever by those vows. All the way back in 1884, Pope Leo XIII wrote Humanum Genus about Freemasonry, and he says that a Freemason who comes back to the church as a repentant Catholic is released from any Masonic vow. So it's very clear that you don't have to worry about being bound by those vows or passing it on to the next generation or any of that.
And I would recommend that you go to our website to the link of the Latin that Father Ripperger's organization that we link to. There are some prayers there specifically to rebuke the Freemasonry. If you have relatives in your family that are Masons, this would be a good prayer to pray. Matt, I'd like to shift gears right now because this topic is going to shift gears to a